there's a war in my stomach between good bacteria and bad bacteria, and I'm sure you've heard wars cost money, and my good bacteria costs $100 a bottle. But here's the good news. I read the bottle. Each pill on the bottle contains 360 billion colony-forming units. So per colony, very affordable. I'm getting a deal. I'm getting a deal on these colonies.
Did you know that you do not need to take a probiotic supplement every day? If you have a healthy diet and you don't have a specific gut health issue, you don't necessarily need one. Today, I'm going to talk about common questions I get asked about probiotic supplement. Dr. Okoro, do I need to take a probiotic supplement? Do I need to take it every day? How long do I need to take it for? Why should I take a probiotic supplement? If I take a probiotic supplement, what time of the day should I take it? We're going to answer all those questions today. So stick with me and we're going to delve right into it. I just said, if you are healthy, you eat a good diet, you don't have a specific gut issue that you're dealing with, you don't need to take a probiotic supplement. You would be better off eating an apple or a head of broccoli or eating a carrot. Seriously. Why am I saying this? What's the evidence? Well, there's no clear or compelling evidence that taking a probiotic supplement improves your health, improves your cardiac health, or improves your gut health. Think about it like a multivitamin. The multivitamin industry is a billion-dollar industry. So is the probiotic industry. But there really isn't any clear or compelling evidence to say if you have a healthy diet and you don't have a specific disease condition or have a specific deficiency that you should be taking a multivitamin. If you have a vitamin D deficiency, for example, I don't get enough sunlight. Sometimes my vitamin D is low. I have to take a supplement sometimes. If you have a low B12 level, you should take a vitamin B12. But again, there is no compelling evidence that taking a probiotic supplement is essential to your health. Now, there are certain conditions where a probiotic supplement is actually helpful. As a gastroenterologist, I would recommend a probiotic supplement to a patient who just had a course of antibiotics and may be needing to repopulate their gut really quickly. I would recommend it to someone who has traveler's diarrhea. I could also recommend it to my patients with inflammatory bowel conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease or something called pouchitis, which is an inflammation of the gut that you can develop after a part of your colon is removed with an inflammatory condition. For most people, that is usually not the case. Are there people who should not or absolutely not take a probiotic supplement? Because for the most part, we think if you try it, it may not hurt you. But when do we know it can hurt you? If you have an immunocompromising situation, for example, if you have HIV that's untreated, if you have a cardiac valve, if you are on medications like chemotherapy or steroids. In situations like this, I would counsel against a probiotic, but if you absolutely have to try one, I would make sure to discuss it with your doctor. Are there any downsides to, I'm just kind of feeling off and what's the harm? Well, we don't know enough about probiotic supplements. They're not very well regulated. Yes, it's true. Some of them are FDA approved. But what happens is the regulation is not as tight as we would like. There is also information that is beginning to seep through the scientific community about the fact that, remember that probiotic supplements are live bacteria. I mean, they come in capsules and they're freeze-dried, and you put them in your mouth, and they go down into your stomach, and they go into your small intestine and colon, and they release live bacteria there. They are live bacteria, and what could potentially happen is they're competing with the bacteria you already have in there for resources. So this would be the two reasons why if you don't necessarily need one, or if you haven't had a conversation with your doctor on what exactly you're trying to achieve, then I would best avoid. The other questions I get about probiotics are, or at least probiotic supplements are, well, if I'm going to take a probiotic supplement for any reason, what should I be looking for? Well, these supplements again are live bacteria. They come in something called CFUs. What is a CFU? It's a colony forming unit. You're going to see if you look at the container, the pill will say so many XX billions of CFUs. That's what you're looking for. What else are you looking for? You're looking for something that's enteric coated. Why is enteric coating important? Well, enteric coating is important because you don't want this live bacteria to get decimated by the hydrochloric acid that your stomach contains. So basically, enteric coating protects them from the acid in your stomach. The other thing that would be on the packet is it may not necessarily say enteric coating, but it will say that it's designed to withstand stomach acid. So if you're looking for a probiotic, you want to be looking for these things. Now, what time of the day should you have your probiotic? Should you have it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Should you take it with food? So let's work through this together. It's live bacteria, and you don't want your stomach acid to decimate it. When is stomach acid produced? Well, stomach acid is produced when your body is anticipating food. Rule number one, if you're going to take a probiotic, you don't want to take it with food because when you eat, your stomach produces acid. And then when you eat a high-fat meal, your stomach doesn't empty out quickly. What happens is that pill stays with the stomach acid and it kills the live bacteria. So basically, you're getting net zero. If you need to take a probiotic, look for colony forming units in billions. Look for enteric coating or formulated to prevent destruction by your stomach acid. And don't take it with food. Take it a little while before food so that it has time to do what it needs to do. We've been talking about you don't need a probiotic supplement, but you do need live bacteria. What is the clear and compelling evidence? The clear and compelling evidence is that instead of taking a probiotic supplement, you can actually just take a probiotic. Real probiotics are found in real foods. Let me give you some examples. Fermented foods is where we're going with this. We're talking about things like fermented cabbage, like sauerkraut, kimchi. We're talking about fermented pickles. We're talking about fermented yogurts as kefir. We're talking about things like kombucha. Am I sure? 100%. How can you start to incorporate these things into your diet? Well, this research is new, and you know what I started doing? I went to Trader Joe's, I got me a nice little bowl of sauerkraut. I would add 2 tablespoons to my salad. Is that enough? Absolutely. Those 2 tablespoons have billions of excellent bacteria that help my gut health. How do they help my gut health? All right, so pay close attention because I'm really going to simplify this. The lining of your gut is 1 cell thick. Now, what's inside the lining is your lumen. That's where your poop is. That's where your microbiome is. That's where the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, the parasites, good ones and bad ones, are in balance. They're on the inside in the lumen. And then there's 1 layer of cells, and then outside that lumen, there's your whole body. There's your immune system, there's nerves, there's all of this stuff. Now, that means that your gut lining is really important. If for any reason that gut lining is compromised or disrupted, guess what happens? It's free for all. All those bad guys within the lumen just invade your body. You really don't want that to happen. How do you prevent that? Well, that's what the probiotics are doing. They're almost 40 million different organisms that make up your microbiome. And when you take a food that is rich in good bacteria, what you're doing is you're enhancing that population. You're helping them do their job. What are they doing? They are regulating your gut lining. They're helping to produce mucus. They're helping to prevent it from being destroyed. They're helping to prevent the bad bacteria from going into the bloodstream. These guys are working hard for you every single day. When you're born with a certain amount of microbiome. There are things that can compromise it. You can get sick. You may need to take antibiotics. You grew older. these things happen. It's important. It's kind of like your car, right? You bought your car, you love your car, it was really cute 10 years ago, but you have to maintain it. You have to wash it, you have to take it to the mechanic, you have to change brakes. That's what you're doing by eating probiotic foods. You don't need a probiotic supplement if you're healthy and if you're eating these foods. And guess what? Now, these organisms are not just hanging out, right? You need to feed them too. What do they eat? Can anybody guess? They eat fiber-rich foods. So, when you eat sauerkraut is cabbage. Cabbage contains fiber. Cabbage contains live bacteria, and cabbage also contains the food for your probiotic. With sauerkraut, you're getting a double whammy. You're getting a prebiotic, which is the food for the organisms, and you're getting a probiotic, which is the organism itself. I'm going to give you other examples of prebiotics. Think stringy fiber. Think celery. Think garlic. Think asparagus. Think oatmeal, which I had for breakfast. Think banana. And now a little word on postbiotics. Again, this is something that we're all hearing about. Prebiotics, food for the organisms that are doing all this work for you. Postbiotics are actually what the probiotics produce when you feed them prebiotics. Examples are things like short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. You would have seen that. Should you get a butyrate supplement? Absolutely not. Why? Because we know that those supplements aren't actually as effective as feeding your good bacteria prebiotics so they produce it on their own. It's the postbiotics that actually perform all of those functions that I've explained to you, including helping to regulate your immune system, including producing neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA and dopamine that helps to keep your brain healthy, that helps regulate your mood, that helps regulate your cognition. In fact, think about this. If you're eating a probiotic every day and you're regulating your mood and you're regulating your condition, it goes to say that as you get older, you're just going to be as smart as you are now. Isn't that something great and wonderful to look forward to? I think it is. I'm eating probiotics every single day. In summary, should you take a probiotic supplement? Not if you're healthy and you eat a good diet. Should you eat probiotic foods? Absolutely. Should you eat prebiotic foods? Absolutely. If you do want to try a probiotic supplement, make sure to have a conversation with your doctor first so that you're clear on what you're trying to achieve, what you need to. And then one last thing. If you're actually looking for a probiotic supplement, you want two certain bacteria. You want bifidobacterium and lactobacillus. And I talked about these extensively in my other video, which I'll link in the comments for you. And so, thank you so much for listening. And if you have questions, please send me a message. I cannot wait to answer your questions. Be well.